NewArtMusik presents Reflections.
Good morning and happy Sunday. Thank you for sharing this wonderful day with us. Today we will be talking with two young composers and pianists. They are two former students from my studio, now young professionals, very creative, very talented people. Let's see what they are up to.
You're watching Reflections, your digital space for analysis and dissemination of today's musical creation.
It is very refreshing to see young people who have a lot of creativity and have been able to use their time and their skills during these difficult times to be creative, to nourish their abilities and their talents. So I am very proud to bring them to the program today, to talk with them, to see what they are up to. They are also very different because they have many different music interests, not only in classical music but in other forms of music. So you will hear from them a little bit. They are both students formed on my studio from the beginning of their musical career, and they have participated in many activities and concerts and have grown to be very talented and very creative young musicians. So let's hear from them. The first one is Enrique Mercado. He recently graduated from the university and started to work, and is just back in Miami just before COVID-19 started. But let him tell us a little bit about himself, about his music, and about his experience during COVID-19. Now, Enrique, just tell us briefly, how would you define your music? How would you define yourself as a young composer? How would you describe your work?
Um, I first got into music around 15, I think. I like seriously into music. Okay, so I listened to The Dark Side of the Moon. That was my introduction to music. And still I have not recovered from that day. um, to me, the great masters of the 60s are among the best of the 20th century. I mean, rivals to Stravinsky and Debussy. Well, I know others may counter that. But there's no one like the Beatles and Bob Dylan. They're just as masterful. So they have been a big influence on my music. Well, anyway, so I later got into more classical stuff. Debussy, the Clair de Lune, although it's extremely famous, I will never consider it overrated. Chopin, of course, but Bach is the master of us all. And other people, I don't know, Bob Dylan and Woody Guthrie and Hank Williams, the king of country music, is really fantastic. And I try not to limit my influences to any one genre or to anything like that. So I'd like to be influenced to as many things as possible. But I'll leave it at that, not to rumble as much. Trying to see if there's anything else. I believe that's it for my influences. It's very difficult for me to describe my music, so to speak, only because I'm just. I feel like I haven't even reached Opus 1 yet. I'm still in the pre. Composition stage. I mean, I'm barely made. I mean, the ones that I've made, I'm happy of. But when I look at the greats that came before me, at my age, they were already making virtual masterpieces. So I feel like a twig next to these men and women. um, so, hold on. I was going to say, Yeah, well, okay, so what I feel, the only way I could really describe my music, um, I think pop music gets a really bad name among perhaps people that have our palette of musical taste. But pop music, I think, is one of the greatest inventions of the human mind. The form is so simple and it's so propagatable generation through generation. You can't say that about most classical pieces. The ones that you can, I would consider pop. So I see pop music as in a more general form, not just some 20th century Western phenomenon. In any case, I see my music as pop music, but pop music in the good sense, as in pop music in its highest, when it is its highest art form. Bob Dylan and the Beatles raised it to an art form, and some people that came before it, but they really did it. Bach in some of his pieces is poppy. I mean, literally, he has it's this pop structure. Of course, not to say that anything outside of pop is not a masterpiece in itself. Probably most of Bach's masterpieces are not pop. But I don't see myself as minimalist. I don't see myself at all like that. If I'm ever categorized like that, it's because I simply lack talent and coordination, or enough virtuosity to be able to do something else. I mean, I can only work with one form at a time. So that's what I do. If I could do something else, I would do something bigger. But anyway, yeah, I see myself as kind of some kind of mix between Bach, the Beatles, uh, Bob Dylan, the Killers, Neutral Milk Hotel. No, anyway, just these artists that I believe have achieved something honest. They've done something honest, and that's what I would like to do. I have no idea what'll come out, so that's why I don't want to limit myself in saying I have this kind of thing. But I just want to see what happens. I just want to come up with something honest, and that's what I'm trying to strive for. And it's interesting that you try to do something honest. But in any case, I think as an adult, as a fallen human being, you must strive to be honest. Yeah, it's kind of something you toil for. It's an interesting concept. But anyway, that's what I think of my music. So hopefully you will hear some now. The shortened version of what's called the instruction under the aurora.
Now, our second guest today is Ryan Harke. He also finished his university recently and he has done quite a bit of work with music, both jazz and classical. Hi Ryan, I would like you to tell us a little bit about yourself, your history as a musician, and tell us a little bit about your music. How do you describe your music and your musical interest?
Been learning music since I was very young. I come from a quite musical family. My grandfather was born in Germany, grew up in Queens, New York, and he was a band leader for many years. So he was my first teacher, and he taught me music theory, how to read music, scales, gave me a very good foundation. My interest in composing came from primarily reading music. I think I took very quickly to the system, and the more I read, the more I wanted to write my own works. As a composer and as a musician, my two, I think, biggest influences are Johann Sebastian Bach and Scott Joplin. And I think in a lot of my work, I try to explore the similarities between these two giants because I think many people think of classical and jazz as two very distinct genres, but I think they're much more connected than most people think, and I try to explore those connections. My mission statement as a composer is to channel beauty through sound and to build on the work of those who came before me.
Now, I have a surprise here for Ryan. He doesn't know, but because he has been chosen 2 times through the NewArtMusik program to have his music performed in some of the NewArtMusik concerts in Europe, I'm going to play here during our program today a couple of his pieces, a couple of the pieces that he had premiered at the Euro American Festival in some of the chamber music concerts in Paris and Vienna. That is an unexpected surprise. One of the pieces was premiered in 2018 in Paris and the other one in Vienna in 2019.
Mr. Ryan Harke. Sein Stück heißt Difficult Conversation.
I am sure that was a wonderful surprise. Anyway, that was the first one is a rehearsal in Paris 2018 with the Euro-American Chamber Orchestra for the Euro-American Festival with Maestro Christian Wenzel conducting. And the second one was 2019, also the Euro-American Chamber Orchestra, but this time was Vienna in Austria, and also for the Euro-American Festival with Maestro Wenzel conducting. Wonderful. Well, COVID-19 has been a difficult experience for everybody. What can you tell us? How do you think you use your time during COVID-19? How it has affected you? And how do you see the future after that? As a young person, what is your perspective? How do you think you fit into this new paradigm?
I think COVID has increased my work output a little bit simply because I have more time at home to study and to practice pieces and to write. I'm also exploring more digital software more now, such as FL Studio, and working within that. The one thing that has been lost is in-person performances. I've only done a few since COVID began, and that is quite a loss. I really enjoy performing live. Well, I feel like I'm just beginning in my studies, so in terms of the future, I see continuing to hone my skills and study music that I enjoy and music that's beautiful, and try to build more and more from there. For other composers and musicians, I would just say to create as much as you can, and to study Bach. So the first piece you're going to hear is an improvisation that I played based on the French Suite No. 2 in C minor by J.S. Bach. And the other two pieces are arrangements that I made in FL Studio, which is a computer program. I used orchestral plugins, and I played all the parts by hand into my keyboard. So, hope you enjoy.
Wonderful. I'm so happy we are able to listen to some of their music, some of the things they've been preparing. I'm surprised. Some of these pieces I don't know myself. I'm surprised to see what they've been doing. And I hope you all enjoy. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this program. This has been very refreshing to see how young people and young creative people have been taking advantage of their time and how they have overcome the difficulties of COVID-19. I'm very happy to have them here. I hope I can bring them in the future with more surprises. So thank you for being with us today and for sharing with us this wonderful Sunday. Have a wonderful afternoon.
New Art Music TV.
Sponsored by Star Music Educational Materials and Digital Solutions. Mercado Music and Art Royal Conservatory Online Institute. Genema Media Label Publishing and PR, Music and Art Royal Conservatory, Global Village, Ed Cooperative Platform for Online Education, Noisylandia, Land of Music, Friends of New Art Music.